How many times this week have you failed to achieve balance? Maybe it's work-life balance. Maybe it's a balanced diet. Maybe it's balancing your budget. Man, one thing we're told over and over and over is we need to live a balanced life. But can I suggest that living a balanced life isn't the way that we were designed to live life? You see, when we try and live in balance, it's very, very hard, because then we really have to be just that person perfectly balanced on a tightrope, that as soon as we lean a little bit this way or a little bit that way, everything falls over. That's why when you and I try and live a balanced life, a work-life balance, whatever it might be, we find ourselves falling and failing, and we never really feel like we're living in that place where we want to be. We kind of think, if I get to this place of balance, I'll experience the peace and the joy that I'm really longing for. But we can never quite find that balance. Can I put it to you that maybe instead of trying to live a life of balance, you and I, we're better to live a life of rhythm. You see, everything in the world and in the universe, there's a sense of rhythm to it. There's day and there's night. There's 4 seasons, right? There's spring, summer, autumn, winter. There's just rhythms to everything. Even music, it's not just the same thing going over and over. It's the rhythm that's put to some loud sounds that are louder and quieter that actually makes the beautiful music that we enjoy. There's a rhythm to it. And you and I believe we were designed to live in rhythm. And when we get rid of this idea that we're meant to live a life of balance and rather embrace a life of rhythm, things go so much better. That might mean there's certain seasons where I've got to be all in and fully focused in my work. And that's going to mean my work-life balance isn't going to be where it should be, because my life, or potentially some of my family stuff's going to take a back seat for a season while I really focus in on this opportunity that we've got to get this business launched, or to get that new initiative completed, or to make something happen. But there's going to be other times where actually I can put what's going on at work in the back seat and I can focus in on my family, because that's what's needed at this time. See, the truth is, when we actually look at our life and we see it as being like, how do I live a life of rhythm? When are the busy seasons for family? When are the busy seasons for work? When are the times that I can take on a massive mountain? But when's the time where I'm going to go and relax by the beach? We tend to live a much better life. Solomon, in an Old Testament book called Ecclesiastes, he says this. He says, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. See, it's very rhythmic. And why don't you just take this and think about it for a few moments? Maybe you can get out a blank page in your diary, or grab some paper out of a photocopier and just start thinking, what would it look like for me to embrace the idea of living a life of rhythm rather than a life of balance? Because I can assure you, if you're trying to find that balance, it's going to be so hard to find. And maybe you'll get there for that one little moment where you're standing perfectly and everything's balanced. But the challenge with it too is, man, when you're really in that place of balance, you're going to feel like, I'm not giving my family the time they deserve because I think they could still do more. I'm not giving my work the time it deserves because, man, it should still be more. But when you embrace the idea of rhythm, it allows you to lean into what you need to lean into for this season, for this period of time, knowing that you're going to be able to adjust that and shift that in the days and the weeks and the months ahead. I hope that's helpful. Live a life of rhythm. You'll be better for it, and the people around you will love you more because of it.